5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Kirill, welcome to the Kailo show. It is so nice to have you here.
Hey mate, yeah, it's nice to chat again, especially after the last year's memories with Caïlo and the movie premiere.
Absolutely. It's so lovely to have you here on the show. It's so lovely to see you again. It's so lovely to talk to you again. And quickly, do you see what I'm wearing?
Uh, I see a ring.
Do you remember the ring?
It's the ring we bought together.
It's the ring you brought me from Brazil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I still kept it.
it's really nice, no?
Yeah. I kept it in the cupboard next to my bed.
Cute,
Actually.
cute.
But yeah, I kept it and I love the ring, so I wanted to wear it for when we see each other again. So I'm really happy to have you here on the show.
Of course, seems appropriate to wear it as well. That's nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Kirill, I wanted to have you on the show because you are a multi-talent, basically, at least in my eyes, and I think in at least in a lot of people's eyes, because you don't just DJ. For me, you are so much more, and I was so to just something that really stuck with me over the course of the last year, basically. So much DJs and artists spend a shit ton of money in marketing and stuff like that. And you went viral with playing DJ set on a bike.
Yeah.
What? How did that work? Why did it work?
Well, I think the main reasoning behind it is that we actually done something that wasn't really done before, and it's much easier said than done, of course, but it's actually a long story of how all of this came together with the bike itself. However, yeah, I think we just had it planned out in a way that we created the right format of content, and we've done meticulous research about it. Uh, and we filmed it in a way that had the potential of featuring this very subject, being the Boogie Bike, like the DJ bike, with which we went viral. And yeah, then we just applied it. We pushed it out via TikTok, where it did go viral. Then it got picked up from other platforms and profiles. We have one big Dutch one. I'm not really sure if I'm allowed to name it, but it's really big. I think it has close to 300,000 followers. And then they posted this clip, which was also featuring the Boogie Bike, which we also tried to promote as a viral clip via TikTok, and then it actually went viral. And then they posted it as a kind of mocking us, in a sense, like, what are these guys doing playing on a boogie bike, like on a DJ bike at 8 a.m. in Amsterdam on a run with one of the biggest gym chains? Like, where is the world heading to? But in our kind of perception, it's cool, no? You go around the streets, you play music for the people who are there to enjoy it. You kind of wake up the neighborhood, let them know that it's time to get up. Of course, it's a joke, but you get the gist. And yeah, and it did go viral, which also was really nice for us and brought us the attention we needed for it, actually, because
Mhm.
building the whole bike was a pain, and it involved actual architectural plans on
Mhm.
how to make this thing work. Not only it is complicated with the design, but also the durability of it, because the bike, with certain artists, it can reach up to 220, 230 kilograms.
Oh wow.
So it's very hard to bike, it's very hard to balance, and it's very hard for the tires to not deflate.
Yeah, you guys are lucky
Um,
that I don't DJ. I'm heavy as fuck now.
no, Cedric, you are fine. Believe me, we had yeah, we had
Other candidates.
we had other issues. Yes.
But
Yeah.
that sounds really like so first of all, it's so sick that you went to like architectural issues and stuff to get it all running and to get the system going. But it sounds for me like was it crafted to go viral, or was it just okay, we want to do something that's fun, and we're in the Netherlands and we drive bikes here, and we want to go DJ on a bike.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. And to be honest, it did come out as a kind of just idea. So some of our friends of mine and another close friend from Boogie House, Timo, our common friend had the idea of creating a portable bar for the use of it for King's Day holiday in Amsterdam,
Mhm.
meaning that you could move with the backfeeds, which is a cargo bike construction, and serve tap beer on
Ooh,
that very bike. And it also involved quite a lot of thinking about it. But what I took out from this conversation was like, yeah, why not have a DJ on King's Day blasting tunes through the canals of Amsterdam on such holiday? It only seemed appropriate, so to
yeah.
say. And this was the origin of the whole story, and then it got much more realistic when we started this conversation with one of the biggest worldwide running clubs. It's Amsterdam Division, technically, Midnight Runners Amsterdam. And then we told them, look, we could also construct this for the runs, because then you could lead your 200, 300 run groups on the biggest holidays and cool events to run with a portable DJ booth playing the songs that you all love, you know?
That's so sick.
Um, and then it actually, yeah, materialized, so to say. The whole idea became reality that we wanted to make happen.
That's it's so sick to think about it, that it basically came from the idea to just serve beer on King's Day, like
Yeah,
throughout the canals of Amsterdam. And you're just like, okay, we're going to pick it up. We're going to put a DJ on it. We're going to party throughout the whole canals. Like,
yeah.
did the plan to party on King's Day with a boogie bike ever got realized?
So we constructed it in time for Pride,
Hmm.
which is another big holiday, of course, in Amsterdam in Netherlands. And yeah, what actually happened is that we couldn't get it done physically before King's Day because of a lot of work related to it. As I mentioned, the actual purchase and choice of the bike and the durability of its wheels and how they're pumped. How can the actual booth look like, and what is providing the electricity, and a number of other questions. It's actually interesting, but I talked to Timo recently about it, who is the actual hands of creating this bike, because it involved a lot of cutting and fitting the pieces and bringing them together. And he would tell you probably 50 questions that we had faced
Oh,
for the existence of this very thing, which also makes it so wholesome for us and for our team to have this very thing, because it's extremely niche if you think about it. It's not common, and we see iterations of it, and we actually love it, in the
nice.
sense of bringing the music on the move.
Hmm.
It's a rather peculiar phenomenon, right? Like there's a lot of these standard format parties where the music is in one place, but have you ever considered having, yeah, moving party?
Yeah.
And it kind of dials down as well to all of the ideas behind parades, or maybe even the big festival in the States. I think it's called, I forgot. It's like in the desert, and they have
Burning Man.
Burning Man,
Yeah.
exactly. And they have all these portable stages, right? Even some that looks like Star Wars. And you're like, what the hell is this? Like, how is this a festival stage? And it's just so nice. And I think that was the aspect that gave it also the potential viral effect, right? Because if it would be something that you see every single day, it wouldn't be as cool. Um, and to answer your question in full, I think it came out of fun, aspiration side of
Mhm.
things, that we just wanted to have good time and do something cool. And then it kind of created opportunities for yeah, further social media marketing of it.
It's amazing. I mean, I guess like the best ideas that start with fun, they even get the passion because you want to have fun, you want to do it, you want to see
Yeah,
this thing getting realized. If you go for like, okay, this will create content, I think not as many people would have supported you in this case
yeah,
by creating this because there would have been like, okay, so what am I taking out of this? And you would go for like content instead of like, it's going to be fun, it's going to be sick.
exactly. Yeah. I think that's also the main premise of a lot of the things in the creative industries. I assume as soon as you take out the fun out of it, or if the fun is not existing in the first place, then maybe you're going the wrong path in a
Mhm.
sense that it's not going to take you to further places because you're not doing it out of genuine interest.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Would
I
you say so?
agree. Yeah, absolutely. I sign that. I sign that statement. I mean, you just said that it basically takes the concept of a parade and bringing it out because a parade is a thing of fun. It's,
Yeah.
people just have want to see a parade because they enjoy it. And you know me by now, and you know our project that we had. I mean, you've been DJing on a boat in the canals of
Yes.
Giethoorn. So I'm a big fan of parades as well. I'm a big fan of getting like creating things that are unusual and maybe rethinking stuff. So I was a big fan of the Boogie Bike right away. Um, have you ever been thinking of getting it bigger? Like you mentioned, like Burning Man, like of doing like a little bit of a Burning Man iteration of it, like getting it big scale.
Well, the reason why I actually mentioned it and why I thought about it is because a good friend of mine from Brazil actually performed Burning Man last year,
Oh,
and yeah, we're in the process of yeah, talking to one of the big camps in Burning Man because they are all technically independent.
hmm.
So whoever gets to play on Burning Man, which is actually a very interesting piece of information because you don't really talk about it, but there is no centralized programming for Burning Man.
There's not.
There is not. No, because the programming is being done by each house, each camp
Oh,
that occupies a certain area of Burning Man. Not in the sense that they cannot overlap, but there's just, I don't know, maybe 400, 300 camps in total on Burning Man, and they all have a house and they all get the right of programming because they have an actual physical location where they can have a DJ booth.
wow. I never thought of that. But
Yeah, right?
it makes so much sense.
It's crazy. And this friend of mine, yeah, we hosted him now 4 times in Amsterdam. Once he also played on an event with Pete Tong, so we are just, yeah, we were talking about it, and he said that he would love to bring me to Burning Man. So we are just, yeah, trying to
That
make
would
it
be
happen.
oh brother, that would be sick.
Yeah, I know, I know, I know.
That
Yeah,
would be sick. And you're bringing the boogie bike with you.
I would love that if it's possible. Imagine, it
That'd
would
be
be
so sick.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you even said you got this massive Dutch guy in your team. He's really good at
Yes,
riding his bike.
Timo is extremely good in riding the bike. Actually, massive shout out to Timo for that. Believe me, because it's not an electric bike,
Hmm.
it takes a lot of strength and force to actually, yeah, fuel that thing and
That's
make
so
it
sick.
go.
That's
Yeah,
so sick. But that would be so cool. Burning Man would be one of my goals to just go there to see it. And I mean, I'm not a DJ, so I wouldn't be playing there. But to have someone play there would be so sick for me to think about it at least.
right. It's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a very interesting approach to festival programming because technically Burning
absolutely.
Man is a festival. So yeah, very unique, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that this guy who was playing at Burning Man that you have him play for you a few times.
Yeah.
Um, how would you consider the construct that you build around Boogie House? Would you say it's an event host that you guys are hosting events, or would you say it's rather a DJ community? Because for me, it's a little bit. I know that you have like artists signed, but you're not a label properly, right?
So, yeah, the lines are slightly blurred and it is a constantly evolving organism, so to say. At the moment, it's a team of 14, and we're just all trying to make things happen for ourselves in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
whether it ranges from just DJing, because we are also a DJ collective, or to events and trying to grow within the social media side of events or promotion or actual event production. It's quite far reaching, but in the core, it started from events, and then it kind of allowed us to delve so much further. For instance, to pop ups and these boogie bike sessions, studio recordings, interviews that we do with the artists. It allowed us to play in external venues and have stage hostings on festivals, other events. It allowed us to be directly in touch with other programmers, help them with promotion, for instance, help with venues as well. So yeah, it's been a lot of things, but if I had to name it in just a few categories, so to say, it would be a DJ collective, it would be an event production company, it would be an artist booking agency. We also have a bit of the management of the artists on it. So, of course, we care about the bookings of our artists. So, we try to step in wherever possible to try to help the artists and kind of think with them, okay, what could we do to make sure that your release, for which you've put so much work over time, can finally get the platform that it deserves. And I think for all the artists that have been doing their thing for a long time, this is very important. That's why we also try to do this extra side of management. So yeah, it's quite a lot of things, and I also understand why it's not as straightforward for anyone outside to see it, and that's why actually we chose to call it and like a Amsterdam collective,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just what we are. It's just a collection of people uh, with the same goals, with the same passion. Of course, slightly different sides of it, but um, we're just kind of pursuing the same thing.
What is that thing?
For sure, it's making name for ourselves. It's showcasing how creative we can get with things. Also showcasing our love for music. I think it's a very common value across the entire team that for every one of us, the music is the driving force, that we all love it and we live for the sound. And yeah, of course, we have to find common language and kind of narrow it down to the things that we do. For example, we're doing the events, or we're doing this pop up, or we're doing this release, or we're working together for a studio recording. Of course, it takes a lot of discussions and getting aligned, but I believe we're doing great work and making sure that we have this drive and mission of just, yeah, sharing what we do further and wider.
That's sick. Like that's a beautiful way to see it. Because I see a lot of event companies, event production companies. They go for like, yeah, we just want to host cool parties and cool places, and people should like scream our names. But I got a different vibe from Boogie House because you're doing so much fun stuff, the pop up stuff, without like being okay. So we have the biggest signs of them all, we have the biggest names here, but it's just you guys trying to grow together. At least that's what I get the feeling of, and pretty it pretty much is underlined by what you told me when we met in Amsterdam, that it was basically you as a DJ. You, the DJ Kirilski, started out as a DJ, and you started to let's host something ourselves. Like I want to do something myself instead of just playing somewhere. And you grew it and you grew it and you grew it, and now you as you said, you have something somewhat of a creative collective behind you. Or is it
Yeah,
even behind you, or is it next to you?
I would say it's because we are all a bit in different things, right? And we are all handling our own areas, and we have our own aspirations within the scope that we have together, which is related to music. and nightlife and fun of it. But then everyone is either an artist or a creative. And that means that they are still all individuals, same as I am. And of course, I have founded it, but I believe we're all uh, doing our own thing, kind of, and we are all on an equal level. And we do need to treat each other that way because otherwise it would feel too much of like a forced kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Um, because yeah, I believe that everyone in a team should have their own say and their own opinion and have their own ideas and pursue those ideas because otherwise things stop being fun and creative anymore. Um, yeah.
I agree. Love.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Absolutely. And I agree with that. I'm a big fan of letting everyone have a voice and not being like, okay, so this is the one way to go. But like, there are some people with ideas, some people with different perspectives. Me for myself, I have like basically no clue about the music industry. Especially when I started Kailo, I had no touch points with the music industry, and like except for that, I love music and I would love to do something in music, and I'm very interested in it. But I believe that these people sometimes like bring new perspectives. Not just people that have nothing to do with music, but like people from different backgrounds. They bring different perspectives. I think we were even talking about when you were in Brazil, when you were DJing there at the festival. That even there, despite it being an EDM festival, you're an EDM DJ. You went there, you were playing there, and you were like this. It was a whole different kind of music. It was so rough, so raw. You know.
Yeah, I mean, scenes are different, right? And I actually like that. I think it's so cool that there's diversity to it. I don't think that we should be kind of it's hard for me to kind of call it in a certain way, but it feels like the scene is becoming mainstream in a sense that all the same artists get booked. And of course, there was like one stage at that festival that was only, so to say, like very mainstream artists, like big names that everyone recognizes. There were other stages that felt much more um, true to nature of that place. So, for example, there was this one stage that was fully oriented to Brazilian funk and carioca, and it was definitely something really interesting to experience because the sound is so different that you don't even expect to hear something like this. And it's about the groove, it's about the rhythm, it's about the sound design that they use in those kind of genres, which is yeah really divergent to what you hear. And I don't know exactly if it has to do with the frequencies of the sound or how the kick pattern, the snare pattern, and the clap pattern lies all together within the groove. But it's really nice to have this like refreshing of your ear and of your hearing, because otherwise you get stuck in this very common format.
Yeah. Absolutely. In my opinion, that might be a little bit of a strong opinion, but in my opinion, grasping the culture and the soul of a festival or a community is the biggest part of a festival.
Do you mean like channeling the community aspect of it, or just that vibe, that atmosphere?
Both. It depends. There's a big festival in Germany. It's called Perukaville,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a little bit like a smaller version of Tomorrowland. So it's a
Okay.
big EDM festival. And it has like massive headliners like Steve Aoki, Don Diablo, stuff like that. Like when I was there, it was 2016, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
But it was just all about the big names in the EDM industry in that during that time. But the stage where the people had the most fun was actually like a side stage. It was a Red Bull side stage
Okay.
next to the camping ground, and there were like small artists playing like Alice in Wonderland, San Holo, like drum and bass artists, dubstep
Mm-hmm.
artists, stuff like that. But for some reason, I think this the community was underdeveloped during that time in Germany because for some reason the whole camping ground went apeshit on these stages. They loved it, and they were the best stages. And for me, obviously that's my personal opinion, but for me
Yeah.
there was such a good energy there because it was the music festival was basically designed to have different kind of artists there. EDM was the main ticket seller, obviously, but the
Yeah.
subgenres, that was where the community was, and these smaller stages, they grabbed this feeling, they grabbed this the sound, and people loved it, and that's what, for me at least, that's what made the festival for me.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I think in a case of these, let's say, more popular festivals, I do think it's a really good thing that they try to also diversify in the stages and how they're programmed, even if it comes down to a list of genres that they feature. I think it's really interesting as a topic, actually. How do they program it and how do they decide it?
Hmm.
In case of the festival in Brazil, yeah, it was really nice to have this kind of one stage that focuses on the music that originates from there,
Hmm.
being funk. And yeah, I really loved it. It was definitely one of the inspirations, and I try to include it in my sets because people here don't listen to it enough, and they don't hear it enough, and I understand. And I can tell from experience it's hard because if you don't experience this live or experience it for the first time, then it's hard. You don't really know how to dance, you don't know how to move because the everything is so different. But I think with time, it's gonna also become more popular in Europe, and yeah, also hopefully in places like Australia, that is also a huge musical melting pot.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Have you ever thought of playing in Australia?
yeah, I would love to. I would love to play in Australia. I know Melbourne is like one of the hotspots, and there's a lot of guys from there that are making a name for themselves. Primarily in like the speed garage, and also a bit of the hard house scene. So there's a few names that I actively follow because they really do cool stuff. And I would love to one day perform there. Also, one of my close friends that lives now in Amsterdam is originally from Australia. So hopefully we'll get to travel and maybe play a gig together there.
That'd be nice. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that for you. But how was the feedback back in Amsterdam? Back in Amsterdam, how was the feedback in Amsterdam when you start incorporating this funk sound into your sets?
So definitely it's a bit hard to create a full funk focused set, but what I've done is just include a few songs that also felt to me like they could work on a dance floor. And to be honest, I don't think that every single song should be to everyone's taste.
Hmm.
I think it's more up to me to decide. Well, in general, up to artists, up to DJs to curate their own sound. And I think this what needs to always be there, because if every DJ would play what only the crowd would expect, then we would all be playing the same sets,
Hmm.
and then the whole creative aspect would disappear. I think it would be really sad. So this way I actually thought, yeah, let me just spice it up and include one two Brazilian funk songs in my sets. Sometimes it goes also for other niche genres like Jersey Club that I love to include. It's kind of very similar to sped up house with a slightly alternated kick pattern,
Hmm.
and some signature sounds like squeaking bed sound or a lasso whip sound.
What's it
It's
called? Jersey Club?
yeah, Jersey Club. It's
I,
really
I need to, I
interesting.
need to listen into that. That sounds
Yeah,
funny as fuck.
yeah, and if you just play a rave, right, and it happened to me as well recently. I played a cool event with a friend of mine, and just including these alternative genres in, for instance, a techno set can be so fresh, and so interesting for the listeners, for the people there, because yeah, for instance, if you're at an event for 4 hours and it's only techno, I understand if it's a techno event, that's fine with me. But then imagine you can include like this hyper pop, or slightly trancey
Mm-hmm.
or Jersey club song in the middle of the techno set and kind of switch it up and also just travel through genres. I think that's really, really interesting. And um, I think if the DJs wouldn't do that, it would just be too static. And that's exactly why I had this impression earlier. We also talked about this before with you.
Yeah, at the
And
premiere.
yeah, exactly. So this is where this Brazilian funk also comes in my artist life.
Nice. I still think a lot about the statement that you did there, because it's just, if I think about going to a techno rave and just listen to techno for 3 hours straight,
Yeah,
I would. Okay, I'm not the biggest techno fan, to be honest, but still, I would lose interest. Even if it's my favorite kind of genre, I would lose interest after 3 hours.
yeah,
It needs to change up a little.
yeah. I definitely agree, and it can be genres, subgenres. It can be moods within songs. So of course, some genres are so versatile in themselves. If you just talk about house, then you can have so many different variations within that it's possible to create an interesting journey. And even from the same subgenre, you can create a journey, but it's definitely much more complicated to do that compared to switching between genres with also different energy. Um, and yeah, I really appreciate when DJs actually do that, when they uh, can kind of take you on a trip
Mm.
with them through the sound. I think it's really, really inspiring to see that so much thought and precision goes into selection of the songs and their order based on how they groove, based on how they sound, what
Yeah.
the key is, whatever the aspect that the DJ seems to think that is very important in setting that whole ambience, that whole journey.
Yeah. Um, what's your take on crafting the experience around the music? Like, you host events with Boogie House, and you have this vision of like changing the moods, changing the genres a little bit, like making it a little bit more fluid.
Yeah,
Do you craft your events around that approach?
definitely, we have a diverse programming, and we actually are gonna have an upcoming event that kind of dives exactly to what you're talking about, because we are gonna have two stages, and they're gonna have more of a quicker, fast-paced focus, and then a slower, more housey and disco focused stage. And it also relates to all of the interests of our collective musically, because we are mainly surrounding ourselves in this kind of 125 to 135 BPM range, which is the slower, more chill, more kind of common sound, so to
Mhm.
say, in Amsterdam reality. And then this faster pace, 140 BPM plus, I would say, sound that can be so diverse because it can be hyper pop, it can be trance, it can be techno, can be many different types of techno, hard groove, hard house, Jersey club, and the list goes on and on. And I think it's interesting if you can try to merge it together, because as a programmer, that's also probably the more interesting parts of my job, that I can design the night, and the artists just of course come and play their sound, but you are able to create a journey out of that as well.
Mhm.
um, I think it's special to have that, and just to kind of know that you can curate the energy of the night based on the sound that you know these artists are producing and playing. um yeah, I definitely love to do that. It's really interesting to be choosing that and planning it out.
Have you ever thought of actually crafting an event, one stage, like, so one stage, one DJ, and he is supposed to supposed to just like switch around genres, not like just drifting a little bit into subgenres, but like going left and right and left and right. Not too harsh cuts, obviously, otherwise the music gets blown and will be like all over the place. But like a little bit like what we did at the experience. You basically had Kendrick Lamar in a mashup with the Gorillas, and suddenly
Yeah.
we went back to whatever to Rockefeller's gang. Uh,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Have you ever thought of crafting an event precisely for that reason?
Um, I think it could be a cool idea. We've never really discussed it in that exact detail, so to say, that we have a purely organized lineup of all the artists that are just switching genres. It could be really interesting. I think it could be used also in a face to face setup, which
And then
is
back to
popping up.
back to back.
Yeah,
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 that
but
would be
face
sick.
to face then.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah.
two DJ booths are facing each other. I think that's really interesting. And that's kind of taking it the next step further, you know. And you see all these face to face setups, and they're just hilarious because two artists are like just there playing together, having to transition from one song to another, while sometimes the decks are not even quantized. You don't even know what is going on because you only see the waveform or the input coming in, and you hear it of course with your ears, but you don't see it because
Yeah,
only the artist actually playing the song sees it. I think it's really interesting, and if you would pair two different artists already blending those different genres, I think it could be super interesting experience. um, yeah.
do you think Amsterdam would be ready for that?
To be honest, I think yes, there's some artists like that. We also had on our festival last year for Liberation Day, we had a very special B2B closing. It was Passion D's B2B Floris Fahrenheit,
Hmm.
two of the Amsterdam OGs, I would say, within the DJing world. Passion D's especially playing all over the place, from drum and bass to techno to hard groove to hard house to edits, any kind of edits you can imagine. And yeah, it was really interesting to already see this combo come together on our festival. People absolutely loved it. So I think indeed it would be, yeah, a good move for Amsterdam to explore this kind of direction. And indeed, some names that I also follow are already kind of in that direction, and they're blowing up, just doing well, and yeah,
Nice,
exploring this sound.
nice. That would be so interesting for me to see if that would work, because you know me by now. I'm a little bit of a I'm just trying things that I
Yeah.
think could be cool and fun, and this would be one of it. I like the face to face idea because that would be a little bit like a challenge. Do you know the Red Bull Sound Clash?
It sounds familiar.
I'm not sure if it's a German thing or if it's internationally, but so I'm not sure. But like
The What is it exactly from
so the
Red
Red
Bull?
Bull Red Bull Sound Clash was basically, so it's clash because there are two people or two artists clashing. So they had
Okay.
various variations of it, but the main concept is you have two artists and they have to perform first a song of the other artist, then the other one of the other. So they have to basically cover one of their songs. Then they're going
Okay.
to start playing one of their song, and in the middle it gets turned over, and the other one have to start and basically transition into their song, and
I
then
see.
stuff like that. So they're basically having two artists there, and they kept them bouncing off of each other, playing the songs, and in the middle there was the crowd. So it was basically the two artists cornering the crowd, and they could like turn around whenever and everyone was singing, you know.
I see. That's crazy.
And that would be such a cool concept for me if you have like two very, let's say, very separate kind of genres,
Yeah.
DJs from different genres, but they try their best to make it happen. And it and this would create some kind of magic dynamic for me.
Yeah, I think so too. It's actually an interesting concept. I think it also is closely linked to just jamming, right? And
It feels
Uh,
like a jamming session, yeah, because
yeah,
they were
Red Bull,
bouncing off of the song the other band was previously playing, and they were like, okay, let's
exactly.
going into that, and started playing into that to transition.
Yeah, but I think it's really cool, and I think it can give it like interesting edge, so to say, because if you can have other performers perform your song, it's gonna have a different twist to it and a different magic.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think I would love to do something like that live. Of course, I'm working on my production skills, but I mean more like maybe jamming on a synth,
Hmm.
and then have someone else jam on something completely different, and then we can switch and
Hmm.
try to recreate the sounds in this kind of sense. And this is actually something that I would love to do within Boogie House as well, that we would have more of a um, kind of show that is focused on live jamming that
Hmm.
involves all these kind of electronic focused instruments, and bringing it to like a fully rounded concept. The thing is, it's just the origin of an idea that we're exploring how
Hmm.
we could create this very interesting, for instance, synth modular setup that we could have instead of a DJ set, and bring a whole new experience to the crowd, and show them that it's can be super super interesting to actually have this live jam, and it gives a completely different vibe, very much more genuine, so to say,
Hmm.
because of course DJs are doing cool work in the sense that they're playing the songs that they love and curating the playlists. But if you can create this sound on the spot and tweak it, it's yeah, so much more engaging, I think, for the crowd too.
It is. I think, um, except for Fred again, I've never seen a DJ create a real intimate session.
Well, with
That
Fred,
might be a bullshit take, but for me at least that's the impression.
well, yeah, I personally love Fred again. I've been to many shows at this point, and I'm always just blown away. I'm always thinking about how much of it is actually not pre-recorded, but sound. How much sounds is already aligned in the whole progression, and then how much is actually played live. But yeah, he's doing an amazing work in actually creating this very special experience. I agree with you. It's definitely like, even though it's big scale, it feels intimate because he is so passionate about it, and you see him jamming, so you see it's so real, so genuine.
It
It's
just feels like he's in his mind, he's sitting there on his own and just like playing.
yeah,
You know, he's
yeah,
just jamming, he's just having a good time, and he plays whatever he feels like feels right at this moment.
yeah,
And I think what you just said with this synth jamming session, you could create a similar vibe to it because in my opinion when a DJ plays it's all about big scale, it's about moving the crowd, it's about just going forward with it. I'm going to push my set forward. I have this vision, I have this idea of the set, and this is where we're going. But it doesn't necessarily feel intimate, even if it's playing some soft songs like very soft transitions, smooth. It never feels intimate. And I think this, if you see like an actual artist creating art there with a synth, with small changes, like you just it feels different. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. It definitely does. I hope that it's not only mine and your perception of things. I hope that it's the general public
Maybe
perception
we're
of things.
strange.
Yeah, maybe we are. Maybe we just love sound a bit too much, And I do agree. I think it's so much more special. It's so much more different. I love these performances the most, and that's why I'm also kind of trying to channel that in my future artist project, and also with the collective. But just being myself, being Kirilski, I would love to try to do a very interesting take on a live show. And I do have some ideas. I was also heavily inspired by Mezark. It's a French artist that comes and performs with synths, with
Mhm.
piano, but also with a theremin. It's
Oh,
an
nice.
instrument that you can control with your hands. So it basically affects the pressure of the air. That's at least what I know of the instrument. It looks very peculiar because as the artist plays, one hand moves closer to one part of it and the other one is just floating. And you're able to control the frequencies that are being cut out. It's really peculiar looking, but it can create really interesting sound design.
It sounds
And
really cool, actually. Super
yeah,
interesting.
it's really special. You have to look into this guy. He's doing insane work. And this is when I saw him, a friend of mine actually took me and kind of not forced me, but was just like, yo, let's go to see this artist. And I didn't really check it out. And then I arrived to this concert at Melkweg with my friend. And then I see this guy like playing this instrument that I've never seen before. And I'm like, what is going on? You know, it's just crazy to see that people craft this art in this way,
Mhm.
like the musical journey that they come across these instruments and they learn to play them just to create this fully rounded experience of the songs that they produce and write, and then use all these different instruments to create the sound on spot. I think it's really beautiful, and I think it must be, in terms of growing as an artist, must be really fulfilling that you are able to curate this entire experience.
Mhm.
Some artists tying it further to the visual aspects, I think it's also really interesting because then it becomes a whole production, like concerts are, and it's really a blessing to kind of dive into that and be able to curate such an experience and make it very interesting for people to see, because maybe your understanding of what is cool is so different to the general public. But that's a very um, like case by case question. Some things are very subjective, and for instance, it happens to me that the sounds that I would love to hear in a song maybe are not the sounds that the general public would like to hear. But to a certain extent, it shouldn't matter, because if you're doing it for yourself, you should do it the way that you want it.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. There's
Yeah,
so many people trying to tell you how to do things, and it's just because they only know it that way, and then it suddenly becomes like their vision of what's right instead of your vision what's right. And
yeah,
maybe your vision of what's right isn't the most common vision, but maybe it's something fresh, something new. And,
exactly.
and that's the only way how to shape things, how to do things differently, how to change stuff.
Yeah, I actually am facing the same thing that you're talking about now with a song, and I'm working on a production that involves like extremely big chords in it, of like a multi-instrument sample that I found, and it's a song that I never really heard before, like the whole kind of construction of it, and I'm questioning, is it so different that it doesn't even make sense to showcase this to the people? Is it just an art that I create for myself, and it's actually meant not to be showcased at a wider scale? But then I think about people like Fred again that are kind of trying to make this revolution within the certain genres that he is kind of playing in and producing music in, because it goes from a classic four to the floor, more housey productions, some that are ambient, some that are garagey and speed garagey, and just, yeah, having that kind of approach that if you combine certain elements or use elements that have not been used before, it could be something that is really interesting, because if no one really heard it before, maybe they didn't know they like it,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe this is the job of the artist, and maybe that's why Fred again actually did so well, because he really tried to channel all these different kind of sounds that he likes and combine them into slightly refined genres. slightly refined new variations of these genres that were existing before. Um, and yeah, that's also why I'm really such a big fan of his work. Why I think he deserves a lot of credit. Um, yeah, for the sound that he is curating and creating.
Absolutely. I think that was so refreshing when he came, when he released Actual Life, like the albums, like
Yeah,
yeah, Actual Life 1, 2, 3, the albums where he was basically using all these voicemails and like actual footage that he got somehow, and he was creating art and music out of it. It felt so real, so fresh, because you knew that there was an actual story behind it. And me, for myself at least, I was listening to it and I was thinking about what's the context, what is this
yeah,
about, and this gave the song so much context, so much texture to me, that they were immediately more interesting. I don't know why.
yeah.
That's the feeling that I got.
No, no, I 100% understand the feeling that you're talking about. I had the same. I went to the part of this tour. I think it was because I went in Amsterdam twice, into Amsterdam alone. It was in Ziggo Dome and in AFAS. I just don't remember which one was which. But on that show, Fred again actually showcased the part of the videos that were used for these voice memos, as you say.
Hmm.
Um, so then it comes in a visual cue and in an audio cue, which is so interesting. And then he creates this kind of, well, tries to curate completely new sound, in terms of sound design, because that's how I perceive it. That is kind of revolutionary, even though sometimes it can be relatively simple. It's just the way that he processes it, or compresses it, or saturates it, that gives it a completely new character. And that's that combined with this emotional backstory and actual, something to start with, like a voice message.
Hmm.
And I get that because I also wanted to know the context of it. I think there was one that goes, I Adore You,
Hmm.
right, from that album. And yeah, it's just like really touchy stuff. And I think it's cool if artists actually implement that, because it dives so much further into your mind, so to say. And for me, still, as a producer, it's very hard to navigate through that. At least I'm grateful that I'm aware that this is the kind of the most genuine and most engaging way to create music.
Hmm.
But since I don't perform my own lyrics, I can do that with instruments and with the beat itself, but it's still not as fully rounded as if I had vocals exactly written for the purpose of the song
Yeah.
to fit or tailor it. But I'm trying to do it the same way that Fred again does it, and I think using samples of voice messages is really interesting. Um, you can also use quotes from your favorite shows. You
Yeah.
can talk about different podcasts that resonated with you. I think that's a really crazy source of inspiration that no one is really talking about. And uh, for example, some of my friends are coming over to the studio and they're showing their songs, right? And all these songs, they have these little vocal loops that maybe say like, oh, bass goes crazy, or it's Friday tonight, whatever, it can be any kind of vocal, and then just looped, and it just doesn't have this story, this context that you would
Hmm.
like, and something to connect with. And I think for artists it's very relevant to kind of showcase their own nature, so to say, and what they care about and what they find beautiful, insightful, emotional, touching, and convey that in the song that they're producing. Yeah.
If you catch the feeling that you get from listening to a podcast, from hearing a poem, from watching a TV show, and it triggers an emotion in you, and you catch that feeling and manage to bring that into a song while using samples of that show, I think that creates like a whole different interpretation of that previously existing media. But it basically gives you your meaning, your turn on it, and creates this context, this texture that I meant before. And
Yeah, indeed,
to
indeed.
me,
And I
that's
think
the
it's
thought that you had with the podcast. Sorry, the thought that you had with the podcast and the TV show, for example, or your show in general. So,
yeah,
so interesting, in my opinion.
yeah, right. And there's even a friend of mine. We had a conversation. He was like, you can type in a certain software. You can type in the actual phrase that you would like, and this platform, this app, would actually find it for you in so many different movies and shows and poems and etc. So yeah. Also, if you would like it, just let us know because I can ask my friend. I'll get the exact name of this platform because it can help so many producers. I yet have to dive into it, but I certainly will. For now, it actually stopped on my end on just actually using the shows that I like
Mm-hmm.
or certain snippets that I found. With some friends, I even consulted. I talked to them to recommend me hip hop albums, intros and outros, and epilogues, and skits that are
Mm-hmm.
present on hip hop albums to give me that so I could flip it into an actual song because all these intros and skits and outros as well, they do have some sort of message and philosophy behind them, and I've been trying to find something that is something that I identify with and use that and channel that for creating a new song because it already conveys something and I just take this and put my own twist on it, kind of allowing my own creativity to have a speak on the same topic.
That's sick. You definitely need to let me know once this is getting more realized. It
Yeah, of
sounds so
course.
interesting. Is it a little bit? I don't know. I just can't put it in words right now. It's this. I love the idea that you just created, or like the picture that you created in my mind with this taken samples from stuff that is touching you, that is moving you, and channeling that energy and that feeling, and then creating something new around it. I think the problem is no, there's no problem. There's no problem. But the thing is, it is something that existed over the years, but I think it never was so prominent and so necessary than today. Because I'm feeling that casual music, casual media in general gets so flattened out that something like Fred again can stand out to such a level that something like the project you're working on can stand out to such a level. And that's so, like, for me, as a very emotional human being and a very emotion driven human being, this is something very beautiful, and I'm very thankful for that this movement is going forward.
Yeah, I think it's necessary and definitely for all the artists. If you don't do it, you should do it. And yeah, I guess it's up to everyone. Some people also don't treat it as such serious kind of topic, so to say. Not in the sense that they don't treat the music seriously, but sometimes the topic of the music, so to say, doesn't have to be. And I understand it very well. Not every song has to be extremely deep in terms of lyrics or extremely happy. No, it's good to have this variety and diversity. And even for myself, I for instance, last weekend I played so much house music that when I sat down in the studio today, I couldn't listen to house music anymore. I wanted to
Or
listen
no.
to something else.
Yeah,
So I started doing something else. And I think it's also a blessing to just be able to explore
yeah,
these different sounds. And you can definitely then try to craft your own emotional message and emotional attachment. And yeah, so many different sounds.
yeah.
Yeah, so many different directions.
You just have to, like, emotions can go in every direction.
Yeah.
These very touching and emotional things are something that would, at least like for the calm and more emotional songs, would really touch me. But on the other hand, do you know the band Steel Panther, I think.
No, I don't
Panther.
think so. I'm not familiar.
It's a rock band from the
Okay.
US, and my best friend, he loves it. He loves them so much, and they only got like bullshit lyrics. Only bullshit lyrics.
Okay.
Everything is over sexualized. Everything is very degrading.
Yeah.
Everything is very edgy as fuck. So it's
Yeah.
basically, I think the most popular song is called Community Property, and they're basically singing about their dick because their dick is community property. Like, I can love you as a woman, but my dick is community property.
Yeah. It belongs to the streets.
It
Yes, of
belongs to
course.
the streets.
I'm very
You can't,
familiar
you
with the
can't tie it
concept.
down.
Yes. Yeah. Look, it's normal, right? In Brazilian funk, it's also very common. I don't know if you have ever had a Portuguese person or Brazilian person translate the lyrics of these Brazilian funk songs, but it can be extremely nasty.
I have
And
not, but I've saw the TikTok trend when they were like listening to it and everyone was jamming to it, and suddenly you're like, "Do you even know like what they're saying?" And you would
yeah,
be dancing.
yeah, it's a bit crazy. And once I was in Brazil and my friends were kind of translating the lyrics, I was just shocked because it does talk a lot about like just um, sexual things, and it's low key in an aggressive way. And I was like, this is a bit concerning that they're just like vibing to it and doing their little Brazilian dances to this crazy lyrics like it's normal. But that's fine as well. It doesn't have to be so serious. We are all doing it for the love of sound, I guess. So sound doesn't have to be extremely deep or emotional every single time. And that's the case with Fred again as well, I think, because he is making some stuff that is so much more deep and some stuff that is just purely club weapons,
Yeah,
just designed to make you move and feel the bass just go through your entire body,
yeah.
so to say.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't say that "Turn Up the Lights" is a very deep and emotional song, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like turn out the lights, it's just a club tool. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
it
a
is.
club. Yeah, club banger, and it's cool to have this approach, like a multi-dimension approach, and definitely I'll try to do the same with my own artist project, just trying to make some stuff in the hip hop scene and just make some house, make some hard house, make some techno, everything that I love and that feels good to me. And I think with time it will also allow me to grow so much further, so
Mhm.
to say, because if I experience all these different dimensions of sound and grooves and rhythms, I will be able to refine it so much more deeper and narrow it down to certain elements that I really love, probably the same way that Fred again narrowed it down after listening to 100,000 hours of music,
Mhm.
you know. And I hope that that will allow me to, yeah, kind of cultivate the exact sound that I'm going for.
Do you think this way that you're going right now is something that's very necessary for the music industry, or like at least for the music culture?
I think that every artist feels their own path, so to say, and maybe how I'm experiencing it and what I think is necessary for me is not necessarily the same for other artists. Um,
Mhm.
Definitely for me, having absolutely no like very deep musical theory kind of ingrained in myself. I don't have these perceptions of what is the right kind of scale or the right rhythm. And I think it's a blessing because if you don't have that, then you're not kind of closed off in these borders
Mhm.
of what is accepted in music. And believe it or not, sometimes I show songs that sometimes have different, like the sounds are in different keys or they're slightly detuned against each other in terms of pitch.
Mhm.
And these can be the most different, like interesting and different to hear sound combinations that you can imagine that can still work. And in actual theory, it shouldn't, but somehow it just does. And I watched also a very interesting interview with Fred once again to talk about him. He,
Is just good.
yeah, he's a talent, and he was talking about how he was jamming with four other musicians in a room, and he used different latencies plugged from the instruments that the other artists were playing to his laptop, to his like recording. So there was a slightly different pattern in time to all the different instruments that they were playing that created the song Feisty,
Hmm.
which makes it feel kind of so right, but it's actually off tempo because the things are not falling exactly where they would fall in terms of the structure and the time, and that's what creates this crazy feel to the song. And I think just, yeah, coming up with that, how do you even come up with the idea to reduce or increase the latency of different instruments for different musicians to create the unique sound out of that, you know?
For me, it's crazy. For me, it's
Yeah,
crazy. You have to be.
it's
I would say, because that's thinking like such a great of thinking out of the box, that to me this is a madman would do that.
yeah, yeah, it's really really interesting. And I hope with time I'll also just be able to foster that in myself. I think every artist should try to achieve that, this kind of ease with experiencing so many different borderline ratchet, not really accepted in the industry things or in the music production, so to say. That, yeah, it would create this very cool niches and very cool combinations and varieties.
Yeah, but I think this only comes with the right mindset, with the right vision, and also with enough experience. Because I think just like you, as you mentioned, you don't have the musicality ingrained in your DNA, but you have a vision, you have ambition, and you can see on creating music from a different perspective. You listen to music, you get inspired. You listen to artists, you get inspired. And putting this inspiration together creates a music project, creates an album, creates just a
Yeah,
single song that could encompass what you believe music is.
yeah. Yeah, and indeed, you don't need the background. I think it will be kind of one of the things that I'll be diving to in the future
Mhm.
with promoting on social media. Like, in a sense, like, look at me. I have no musical background and I'm able to create this.
I can
And
push
all
the
I've done,
buttons.
yeah, basically. But the magic with the buttons is that on the laptop with your DAW, with Logic and FL Studio and Ableton, you can do such crazy things and create so much
Yeah,
that it's just, yeah, it's a whole world. And I think if you just devote enough time and learn it and just play around with it and create 1,000 songs, then your 1,001st one will be fire. There's just no questions about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw this to sum it up really quick, because we're past the 1 hour mark already. Um, to sum it up really quick, this topic, I saw a video of this one guy who's he just said, and like it was a reel, and he was just
Yeah.
saying like, so I have no clue how to play any instrument. I just know how to play boo this one note, and then he put it up to Ableton and was like changing it around, and suddenly there was a whole song. It was a whole
Yeah.
song out of one note. So he doesn't
Yeah.
need to be like an instrumentalist or whatever. He's just like trying around and changing it around. The song was really good, but still it was a song, and it was one of his, like, not his first try obviously, but one of his early tries, and he was
Yeah.
just crafting something out of this one note. So he didn't even need to be an instrumentalist to be musically gifted. He just had a vision and tried to do it and executed it, and suddenly he had a song, which is crazy.
Yeah. That's beautiful, no?
Yeah,
And it's amazing that people are uh, able to realize that, and that young artists, and I even mean kids, right? Because it's even starting when you're a kid that you're so into sound and into music that you're like, oh, let me play around.
hmm
Some of my friends that are in mid 20s and they've been producing music for 12 years or 14 years, meaning they started when they were 11, 13, making beats after school in or at school during lunch break, or before they go to sleep. It's crazy for me to think about, but yeah, it's uh it's really really beautiful, and that's what gets you further. You don't need to know how to play harp. You don't need to know how to play the sitar. You don't need to know how to play the organs, but you can use all these sounds and you can make it magical. Yeah.
I love that. I would have never thought of the harp, to be honest.
No, but I'm just like talking about some instruments that I use in my own productions,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I've
sure.
never touched them, you know.
Bro, when I was in school, we had to do so we had the music class, and
Yeah.
our teacher he gave us "Carried Away by the Moonlight Shadow." You know the song, right?
Yeah, of course.
And he was like, "Okay, so I'm giving you Audacity, and you just have to recreate the song in the way you want to do it." And I just saw the pan flute, and I was like, "I love the pan flute." So I took like
Yeah.
5 or 6 different pan flutes, and I created "Carried Away by the Moonlight Shadow" pan flute evolution, and it was shitty as fuck, but I loved it, and I got iconic in
That's
my music class.
Bro, and that's the most important. If you do what you love and what makes you feel good, then you're already so much further. I
Yes,
believe
sir.
that.
I
I
love
believe
that,
that.
and it's still a story that I tell 15 years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
You
right.
should, honestly.
All right, Carol, we're nearly done here already. Time's running out. Um, so I'm going to ask you one question that I'm going to ask every single guest here. And that is, what is a song that is currently touching you emotionally or just in the moods that you want to get into and that you love to listen to right now?
Mm, well, in terms of a song that touches me, like diving into the first part of the question, like the
Mhm.
song that really touches me, um, I think it's the one that I actually listen to quite regularly and for a long time. It's from actually a Dutch producer, and it's a house music song, and it doesn't have lyrics, but just the progression of it and the chords are really emotional to me, and I really feel them as I listen to this song.
Mhm.
It's called Total Unison from D Stone. I think really talented producer, and the progressions on it and how the track moves, how the filters are opening up and closing on these different instruments used is really beautiful, and that also what kind of gives me the idea that it is possible to do this, that you don't need, for instance, vocals to convey a message. It can be just, yeah, a certain rack of instruments, and you play it and you are giving this whole vibe and ambience
Mhm.
to the listening experience. And yeah, that's definitely the one I've been always coming back and feeling something. It's D Stone Total Unison.
Amazing. Thank you so much for also explaining why. That would have been my question afterwards. What is so
Yeah.
special to you? Um,
Yeah, saving you
and,
the
and
trouble.
yeah, thank you so much. No, but it's lovely to hear that this song is just like giving you such a good vibe and such a like all the correct things to touch you um, on a production level. I haven't heard that yet. I haven't heard that yet, to be honest. So
Yeah, it's
thanks
really
for
nice.
sharing. I'm going to listen
Definitely
into it
listen to it.
afterwards. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to. All right, Kira, my brother. It's been a blast as always. It was lovely to see you again. It was lovely to talk to you again. And thank you so much for being part of the show. Thank you so
Thank you,
much for
Cedric.
sharing your insights, your knowledge, and your opinions. And lovely to have you here.
Yeah, thank you as well. It was lovely being here with you. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Cedric.
All right. Bye bye, brother.
Bye, mate.